She humiliated me at her sister's wedding. 6 words ended our marriage. I want you to imagine standing in a room full of 200 people, wearing a dress you spent 3 months picking out, watching the man you married stand up with a microphone in his hand, and hearing him say something that would end your marriage in front of everyone you love. That was me, 11 months ago, at my sister-in-law's wedding. And the worst part isn't even what he said. It's that I clapped along with everyone else for a full 3 seconds before I understood what had just happened to me. My name doesn't matter for this story, but my marriage does, because for 6 years I thought I had built something solid. His name was Daniel. We met in our late 20s, married at 31, and by every outward measure, we were the couple people pointed to when they talked about what a good partnership looked like. He remembered my coffee order, he came to my work events, he called his mother every Sunday and included me in every single call. I used to tell my friends that I got lucky, that I found one of the good ones. I did not know yet that good and loyal are not always the same word. His sister Claire was getting married in the fall, and Daniel's family had never fully accepted me the way I wanted them to. Small things over the years. Comments about how I dressed, how I didn't cook the way his mother cooked, how I worked too much to be a real partner. I brushed it off because Daniel always stepped in. He'd squeeze my hand under the table or pull me aside afterward and tell me not to listen to them, that he saw me, that he chose me. I believed him. I built 6 years of marriage on believing him. The wedding was beautiful, the kind you see in magazines. String lights, live jazz, a reception hall that smelled like white roses. I helped Claire with her seating chart the week before. I drove 2 hours to pick up her wedding dress from the tailor when her car broke down. I did all of that gladly because I thought I was part of this family, not just attached to it. Then came the toasts. Daniel stood up as best man, and he was funny and warm, and the room laughed in all the right places. And then, almost as an aside, grinning at his own cleverness, he said 6 words into that microphone. At least Claire chose the right one. A joke, apparently, about some old family rivalry between his sister and his cousin. Except everyone in that room heard it differently. Everyone in that room turned, just slightly, just for a second, to look at me. Because 5 months earlier, at Christmas, after too much wine, Daniel had told his brother something he thought I never heard. That marrying me had been the safe choice, not the exciting one. I had let that go. I had told myself people say things they don't mean when they're drunk and comfortable and careless. But that night, standing in that reception hall, I understood that the safe choice had never stopped being a joke to him. It had just been a joke he usually kept private. 6 words, said with a smile, in front of 200 witnesses, and something in me that had been quietly cracking for years finally gave way. I didn't cry at the wedding. I want to be clear about that, because I know how this story could sound. I smiled. I clapped. I even hugged Claire and told her congratulations. And I meant it, because none of this was her fault. But I remember the drive home. Sitting in the passenger seat while Daniel talked about how great the night had gone, completely unaware, or maybe completely unbothered by what he'd just done to me in front of his entire family. And I remember thinking, with a kind of calm that scared me a little, that I was done pretending I hadn't heard him. I didn't say anything for 3 days. I know that surprises people when I tell this story, because everyone expects the big blow-up, the screaming, the plates thrown. That wasn't me. Instead, I started quietly gathering the truth I'd been avoiding for years. I called his brother and asked him calmly to repeat exactly what Daniel had said at Christmas. I asked 2 of his cousins if they'd heard the toast the way I had. And what I found wasn't just one careless comment. It was a pattern. Small jokes at family gatherings I hadn't been invited to hear directly. A running theme, apparently, that Daniel had settled for me, that I was reliable rather than remarkable. 6 years, and I had been the punchline in a story he told when I wasn't in the room. When I finally confronted him, he did what I think a lot of people do when they're caught. He minimized it. He said I was overreacting, that it was just a joke, that I was taking one line out of context. And maybe if it had been one line, he'd have been right. But it wasn't one line. It was 6 years of small erosions I had explained away, and one public moment that made the pattern impossible to unsee. I told him I needed space, and I moved into my sister's guest room the following week. I remember she asked me if I was sure, if 6 words at a wedding were really worth ending a marriage over, and I told her the truth. It was never about the 6 words. It was about finally hearing, clearly, what he had apparently been saying quietly for years. We're divorced now, It's been 8 months since the papers were finalized, and people still ask me if I regret how fast it happened, if I should have tried harder to talk it through. Here's what I've learned since then. Respect isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It's in the way someone talks about you when they think you can't hear, and in the way they defend you when it costs them something. Daniel never did that second part. Not really. He defended me to my face and joked about me behind my back, and I spent 6 years mistaking the first for love. I don't regret the marriage. I regret how long it took me to believe what I already knew. And if there's one thing I'd want anyone listening to this to take with them, it's this. Pay attention not to what someone says when the room is watching, but to what slips out when they think it isn't. If this story resonated with you, let me know in the comments where you're watching from, and stay with me for the next one.